Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Alright friends, so in this today's video, we are going to learn about an introduction to anthropology optional subject. What is this subject? What is the success rate? What type of candidates should opt for this optional subject? ये सब हम जानने की कोशिश करेंगे. In this program, मेरे गेस्ट हैं हिमा बिंदु मैम, ऑल इंडिया लेवल पे एंथ्रोपोलॉजी के बहुत ही फेमस फैकल्टी हैं. मैम यहाँ से पहले वाजीराम कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट में थे. नाउ शी इज़ विथ अनअकैडमी. मैम आपका कार्यक्रम में बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
Thank you, sir.
देन आई हैव अभिजीत रे सर, जो पहले इस लास्ट ईयर जो यूपीएससी 2021 एग्जाम हुई थी उसमें उन्होंने ऑल इंडिया रैंक 50 हासिल किया है विथ एंथ्रोपोलॉजी ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट. आपका भी सर कार्यक्रम में बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
थैंक यू सर.
सो सबसे पहले मैं आप दोनों से ये जानना चाहूँगा मैम, व्हाट इज एंथ्रोपोलॉजी एज अ सब्जेक्ट?
Sir, anthropology is, in simple sentences, anthropology is a study of human beings, and it studies everything about human beings, like both about the society, biologically, about the human beings. It includes subjects like a little bit of economy, polity, everything about the human beings. So in one sentence, anthropology is a study of human beings. And there are some unique features about this subject. Usually most of the subjects will fall under either humanities or under the sciences category. Whereas when it comes to anthropology, it is both a science and also a humanity. And a famous anthropologist, Alfred Kroeber, nicely stated that anthropology is the most humanistic of the sciences and the most scientific of the humanities. I mean, when it is a humanity, but it is a scientific humanity, and it is a science, but a very humanistic science because it studies about the human beings. And in a very lighter way, I sometimes say that even a doctor is an anthropologist if he is not a veterinary doctor. I mean, anthropology is a multidisciplinary subject. It includes everything related to human beings. So that is anthropology, sir.
अभिजीत
Sir,
सर,
one
आप
thing
इसमें
I'd just
कुछ
like to add, just one very small thing, is that there is a very famous saying by Miss Ruth Benedict, who was herself a very famous anthropologist. She said that the purpose of anthropology is to make the world safer for human differences, because we have many different diverse cultures existing in the world today, and there is intolerance in society. So anthropology, sir, as a subject, broadens our worldview, broadens our tolerance levels, and it's one of the most important subjects that exists in the world today also, sir. I would just like to add this much.
तो दोस्तों, मतलब एंथ्रोपोलॉजी क्या है? इंसानों के बारे में स्टडी करना, उनका अभ्यास करना, ये उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव है.
बिल्कुल.
हिमा बिंदु मैम ने हमारे साथ ये एक डेटा सेट शेयर किया है, वेर आई कैन सी मैम दैट इन एंथ्रोपोलॉजी सम 1189 candidates appeared in the mains exam, and out of them 108 got selected. So success percentage some 9.1%. So
Yes.
could you please elaborate more on this, ma'am?
Yes, sir. When a student opts for any optional, like a few things are important. Interest in the subject
Yes,
is, of course, one of the factors, but that cannot be the only factor. We have to see many other factors because finally it is a competitive exam and we have to clear the exam. If it is only for the purpose of interest, we can study it after the exam also. So there are a few things which are very good about anthropology optional. First thing is there are many students previously who are in top 10, that is like the very number 1 rank and the rank 3, rank 6, rank 7. So in the last decade, there have been many students who got ranks below 10, and many students who scored the ranks below 50. And Mr. Abhijit Ray is here, who scored the exact half century 50th rank in anthropology. And also there are many students who got ranks below 100 also. When it comes to top 10, I feel that a student need not choose an optional, just because somebody got first rank, second rank, because that rarely happens. So in addition to that, number of students in top 10 or top 50, the success percentage is also a very important factor, and how consistent the success percentage is. If we can see the data in the last 3 years, like 2019, 18 and 17 data is here.
Yes, ma'am.
Across the years, anthropology consistently showed a very good success rate, which is around 9 to 10% of the students who selected the optional cleared the exam with anthropology optional. And there are a few subjects like maybe botany or some, I could just now see like Bodo language, 100% success rate. But the point is how many students opted that. One
Yes.
student opted and one student cleared, and it is 100%.
Mm.
So another factor that a student should consider before choosing an optional is the percentage came out of how many students. Okay.
Right.
Anthropology is not an optional, like if you can see from the data, there are a few subjects like political science, geography, sociology, like these are the optionals which many students have taken. So if you observe anthropology, it is on par with those optionals. Almost the same number of students are taking it. Okay, and from such a high numbers, it is consistently recording a very good success percentage, which is the most important when a student is choosing an optional. Choosing an optional, correct optional is very important in the success, because like when compared to optional, all the GS papers are unpredictable. I mean, they can ask anything from under the sky. It is the optional, like in which most of the questions comes from the syllabus, and this is mostly in our hands. So when choosing the right optional, this success percentage is one very important factor, and so that's why I feel it is one of the very good optionals.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inputs and insights. Now I ask Abhijit sir. पहला क्वेश्चन सर, आपका ग्रेजुएशन सब्जेक्ट क्या था? और दूसरा, आपने एंथ्रोपोलॉजी क्यों लिया, जबकि मैं एक ग्राफ में देख सकता हूँ कि ज्योग्राफी ऑल्सो सम 2000 कैंडिडेट अपीयर्ड, पॉलिटिकल साइंस ऑल्सो 1600 कैंडिडेट अपीयर्ड, और उसमें भी 8 to 9% तो सक्सेस है. सो व्हाई
बिल्कुल
एंथ्रोपोलॉजी हुआ?
सर, मेरा ग्रेजुएशन सब्जेक्ट वाज इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग, एंड इन माय फर्स्ट टू अटेम्प्ट्स, दो आई कुड नॉट गिव मेंस, इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग वाज माय ऑप्शनल. So in my third attempt, I decided to shift from that, because like ma'am was saying, that selecting or optional is very important. In the initial days, I was sentimental, had a sentimental bond ki nahi, I'm an electrical engineer, so I should have electrical. So I had that emotion involved. But later on, I got more practical, because that was earlier a mistake. So sir, some of the things that made me move away from electrical, or let's say technical optional, is that number one, availability of coaching material was not that high in technical subjects like electrical engineering. Availability of test series and their regularity, that was not as high. Number three, sir, what I felt was that technical optionals like electrical engineering, maths and all these things, their marking scheme is punitive. What I mean by that is, sir, let's say we have a 20 marker 4-page question, out of which 3.5 pages we write correctly, and half page we make a mistake and we do a calculation error, get the final answer wrong. We are going to be penalized heavily of that. Out of 20 we may get 3 or 4. But in optionals like anthropology, sociology, I can speak for these two, there, sir, the marking is sort of additive, I would say, in the sense that in the 3.5 pages of correct answer, I probably will get 7, 8. If it is very nice, I might even get 9. That half page will only cost me around 1 or 2 marks. So overall marking advantage that is there in optionals like anthropology and this non-technical optional per se is very high. So that made me move away from electrical. Now, why I chose anthropology over other subjects is that, number one, sir, biology was there in my class 10th. Number two, evolution interested me deeply, because at that time I was reading this book, Sapiens by Mr. Yuval Noah Harari. And for anyone who has read that book would know that it's such an engrossing book. It makes you deeply interested about human evolution. So these were the two reasons. And like ma'am very rightly said, that this is a subject which is more scientific than humanities and more humanistic than the sciences. So these were the things that attracted me towards anthropology. About geography, sir, you specifically asked. The thing is, so many people take geography. I sort of have a I have a thing that because so many people take UPSC also knows this, they might any year do some घपला in geography and then overall marks will come down. So वो risk नहीं लेना था मुझे, इसलिए anthropology ले लिया. लेकिन sir overall I would say it was one of the best decisions of my life taking anthropology.
Indeed, and you
I
have
would like
succeeded with
to, yeah, I
flying
would like to
colors.
add a small
Yes, ma'am.
point here. That is like as Mr. Abhijit is rightly pointing, this is a non-technical subject, and in technical subjects like electrical engineering or mathematics, it is 100 or 0. That is, if you
Mm-hmm.
write the correct answer, you may score 100 also. But if
Mm-hmm.
something final calculation goes wrong, then it can be 0 also.
Mm-hmm.
With sociology like optionals, it is like analytical. So like there is a little chance that even if you don't know the question, you can somehow manage writing something. And anthropology is such a beautiful optional. Okay, maybe kind of I'm in love with the subject. Okay, one kind of a beautiful subject that is it is a combination of both. That is like the physical anthropology part when it comes to some biological, technical in nature. There you can take the benefit of that scoring high, which you will observe in the like technical subjects. And in the social anthropology part, you can use the benefit of that analytical of managing something even if you do not know the question. So I feel this is the only subject having that combination of two good things like analytical and technical. So this is I
Absolutely,
just
ma'am. It's a very nice insight.
yes sir.
I had never thought about it like this.
Yes.
Ma'am, my next question to you is: suppose there is a student who is from humanities, some commerce, arts background, who has not done this physics, chemistry, or biology in class 11, 12. Would it be a right
Yes.
optional subject for him?
Sir, I would usually joke with the students that it's absolutely fine even if you left biology in your LKG. Still, you can manage with anthropology. This is how I usually communicate with the students. There is no need of any educational background, sir. Not only for anthropology to that matter, the students who take geography, it's not that they had some degree in geography or PSIR, they had some degree in PSIR. So there is no need of any educational background. Whatever biology portion we have, it is just like actually only 25%. Like I have divided the syllabus into different portions. That is how much archaeology we have, how much sociology we have, okay, and how much biology we have. It is some 25%, and I found most of my students feeling sad once the 25% biology portion is completed. That is fun to do. Like we'll understand. After all, we are studying about our own selves, what is happening inside our body, how we are born, how we are evolved, how a monkey became a human being today. Okay, so it's fun to read and absolutely no need of any educational background. And interestingly, all the top 10, top 50, including our Abhijit sir, okay, all these happen to be engineering students, which has nothing to do
Nothing
with
to do with anthropology.
background.
Yes, ma'am.
And one student, I think Lakshmi Singh, who scored some
364.
362 marks in anthropology, belongs to engineering
IISC.
background.
She was from IISC.
So absolutely no need of any type of educational background. Let it be humanities or mathematics, engineering. Okay, any background is suitable for anthropology optionals. And one more thing, like I would like to say is the only unfamiliar thing about anthropology is only its name. In the syllabus, when we see everything is familiar
Yes.
in that. Like say, for example, we have marriage, family. Okay, so it is something there in all our lives. We all get married, we all have families, we all have relatives, we all belong to one or the other religion. So it is after all studying about our own selves. If at all there is something which is not familiar about anthropology, that is only the name anthropology, sir.
Right, ma'am. So you had also mentioned on how anthropology is useful for UPSC. So
Yes.
you have mentioned here that the questions are usually direct and they can be anticipated and prepared easily. And you can notice there is a lot of repetition in the questions, and the syllabus is comparatively short. So could you please elaborate on these points?
Sure, sir. Syllabus is comparatively short. That is something which is a very observable thing. So when you simply compare the syllabus of any other optional with anthropology, you can realize that. And when it comes to the repeated questions, usually students also ask me one question, that is, it's okay, like the questions repeated in the past. Unfortunately, what if they stop repeating now? There is no such possibility, sir, because anthropology is a very clearly defined subject. Like, say, for example, if you have a chapter called marriage, types of marriage, you have some 10 types of marriage. You cannot create the 11th one. Or you have in the tribals, you have PBTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. You have some 75 PBTGs. You cannot create the 76th one. So the syllabus is kind of a clearly defined syllabus. There are very clear margins for it. It's not vague like a simple word like chemical reactions or world geography. These are one word, but just what doesn't come under that. Anthropology is not like that. The syllabus is also very clearly defined. So the number of questions they can ask are limited. So repetition becomes compulsory. It's not something it coincidentally repeated in the past and it may stop repeating the future. Not like that. That is in the nature of the subject, nature of the syllabus. And of course, yes, these days, since the last 2, 3 years, some new out of syllabus questions are coming. Okay, but how many out of syllabus questions any exam can give? Not more than some 5% questions.
Mm-hmm.
But 95% questions will be repetitive and very direct, straightforward questions for which you have a very definite answer. Like, say, for example, I was mentioning the example of PBTGs. It's a government standard thing. Like, you have 75 PBTGs. First ranker cannot write about some 76th PBTG. So you have a definite content to write. So it must be scoring, and the questions must be direct. Okay, and the questions must be repetitive also. So these have been the advantages of anthropology, and I believe they continue to be the advantages of anthropology.
Thank you, ma'am, for this great insight. Now I would like to ask Abhijit sir कि ये सिलेबस कंप्लीट करने में आपको कितना समय लगा और ये रिपीटेटिव जो क्वेश्चंस है उसको आप कैसे हैंडल करिए?
Sir, like ma'am very rightly said that in the last 2 years, that is 2021 and 2020, which were my first 2 years of anthropology, the paper became very different from the previous attempts. So previously there was more of direct or let's say repetitive stuff. After that it became a little from here and there, questions framed in a different way, same thing framed in a different way. So I did a very thorough study. I studied from multiple sources and I studied very broadly. So I would say around 6 to 7 months of dedicated preparation only for anthropology helped me get good marks and helped me clear this exam with this rank, sir, I would say.
So 6 to 7 months are required for preparation.
Yeah. Yes.
So, ans-
But then that can vary for people to people. For me, it was completely new subject, so it took a lot of time.
right. So depends on comprehension of a student as well.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
ma'am, when it comes to the skill of answer writing, notes are available, books are available. So
Yes, sir.
how the answer writing of anthropology is little different than other subjects?
Okay. As I already told you, it's a combination of both analytical and also technical. Because it is technical, we can use a lot of diagrams. And once again, like when I say the word diagrams, students have multiple questions regarding this. So we don't know how to draw the diagrams. We are very poor in diagrams. And I say to draw the diagrams in anthropology, you don't have to be an artist. They are just schematic diagrams. Okay, it is a diagrammatic manner of it. Let it be a pie chart or let it be some diagram, Venn diagram, okay, or some rough diagrams about some stone tools and all. So you don't have to be an artist. There is no need of some shaded, beautiful diagrams. So a diagrammatic representation so that like the examiner quickly knows what is there in the answer. Okay, obviously it is not possible to search for the points in the answer. It is students' responsibility to show the points at a single glance. Like
Absolutely,
the
absolutely.
examiner sees the paper at a glance, the examiner should know what is there in the answer. So diagrams, graphs, tables, flowcharts, maps, okay, all these things will help in showing the content to the examiner at a glance. So there is a scope for doing this in anthropology. When it comes to a purely analytical subject, the scope for such diagrams and flowcharts will be minimized. The technical nature of the subject also gives a scope of doing that. And the analytical nature of the subject gives us a scope of writing in beautiful sentences and showing our writing skills and presentation skills in both the ways. That is, when it comes to writing or diagrammatic representation. So that's how we can make the answers more scoring in anthropology when compared to other optionals. And probably that could be the reason why anthropology scored well, okay, consistently over a span of years. So in the last decade, if you see, the average, as I told you, the highest marks in anthropology is 362, which is even higher than mathematics. But we cannot go with that because everybody will not score 362.
Yes, ma'am.
And the average score of anthropology is 264. Average score over a span of 10 years is 264,
That itself is very high, ma'am.
very high when compared to many other optionals. Okay, so the reason for consistently scoring high is this nature, the ability of scoring using these diagrams, flow charts. In fact, the flow charts became popular with anthropology optional only. Now the students started drawing them in all the
Yes.
subjects, GS papers and all.
Sir,
Yes.
one thing I'd just
अभिजीत
like
सर
to add
आपका
about
क्या
this.
पूछता है? Yes.
Sir, एक diagram के बारे में ma'am very rightly said that you don't have to be an artist. So it what she is also meaning is that instead of focusing on the beautification of the diagram, you have to focus on the technical correctness. For example, in Neanderthal skull versus the modern human skull, that one of the differences is that Neanderthal has something called the occipital lobe, one lobe at the back of the head. So if you're drawing that skull, you have to draw that and show that in the diagram. You cannot miss that and expect that your diagram is correct. You don't have to be an exact drawer of the skull, but these technical things, the differences you have to show. That is also what she meant. So that comes with practice, and ma'am very rightly mentioned that these value additions is what elevates your score from here to there. So that is
Right.
what I would just like to add, sir.
तो दोस्तों आपने जाना दोनों ही एक्सपर्ट से कि ये सब्जेक्ट में अच्छे मार्क्स लाना संभव है और उसके लिए आप डायग्राम फ्लो चार्ट बना सकते हैं। वो बहुत आपको चित्रकार होने की ज़रूरत नहीं, लेकिन अच्छे से आप चीज़ों को प्रेजेंट कर पाएँ और उसके चलते आपको मार्क्स बहुत अच्छे मिलते हैं। नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट सेगमेंट की जहाँ पर हम समझने की कोशिश करेंगे व्हाट डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टॉपिक्स आर वी स्टडिंग अंडर दिस सब्जेक्ट। सो यू नो दैट इन द General Studies mains paper, there is essay paper, paper 1, Indian Society, paper 2, Social Justice, paper 3, Science Technology. And there are other aspects also like economy, agriculture, paper 4, Ethics, Integrity. So, with all these subjects, anthropology overlaps in various facets in various areas. So, maybe could you please elaborate on this part?
Sure, sir. When it comes to overlap with GS, I feel this is one more important point a student should consider before choosing an optional. Like, say, for example, if it is some medical sciences or electrical engineering or whatever it is, the optional preparation will be very much isolated with the GS preparation. So just before the exams, like when we study the optional, the total mindset mode will be very much different from what we need to have for the GS. So if the optional subject also overlaps with the GS papers, some of the time also can be saved due to the overlap, and also maintaining that mindset. Okay, for each subject, a different mindset is needed, a different way of thinking is needed. So maintaining that mindset also becomes easier. So when I said like overlap with other GS papers is important, then I have a responsibility of saying how anthropology overlaps with other GS papers. First I kept is essay. Usually, essay topics are minimum at least one essay will be from the social problems, like, for example, women empowerment or women issues, or ethnic minorities or religious issues. Okay, and all those topics are there in anthropology syllabus. I will just remind about one essay topic. I remember it appeared in 2020. The essay topic is culture is what we are and civilization is what we have. Culture and civilization are two chapters in anthropology. So, an anthropology student would easily choose that particular essay. So, this kind of overlap is in such a way that if an essay topic comes like this, it is a kind of almost 50% of the essay paper matches with that, depending on what essay that comes. And sometimes many essay topics are also philosophical in nature, and anthropologies also have the philosophical nature, the anthropological thought. Okay, so gives you a physiological, like philosophical mindset and all that. So that way it overlaps with essay paper and GS paper one. In the GS paper one, we have Indian society. So entire paper 2, unit 3 and 5, two entire units that is purely about Indian society, caste, gender, population, the demographic profile of India. So all these we have to study for Indian society in GS paper 1 also. When it comes to GS paper 2, there is a very less explored part of the syllabus, that is social justice. Usually many students have an issue about like what to study for social justice. You'll find answer through anthropology in that also. So we have so many minority issues, religious minorities, linguistic minorities, SC/STs,
Tribal
okay,
issues.
and ethnic minorities, tribal issues. So all these will help you in studying this social justice. And when it comes to GS paper 3, we have science and technology. In that, the biotechnology portion comes under the physical anthropology or the biology portion of the anthropology syllabus. And again, ethics integrity. Like, I'll just give a small comparison. There is one topic called cultural relativism in anthropology that is often misunderstood as moral relativism, which is a topic in ethics. In ethics, we have two topics like moral relativism, which says that morals are relative. It means maybe it is not correct for you, maybe it is immoral for you, but it is immoral for me. Okay, for example, like according to that, we can argue maybe untouchability is moral in India, maybe it is not moral
Smoking.
in USA, but it is moral in India. So that is moral relativism. And there is another theory called moral nihilism that says like morals are universal. If it is wrong, it is wrong everywhere. So many such topics are also covered in anthropology, which also helps you in fixing a mindset. The nature of writing the answers also matches with ethics and integrity. And ancient history, like we have Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Indus Valley civilization. So all these things will match with
Lot of matching with that, man.
ancient history, and we have political anthropology that matches slightly with polity, and we have economic anthropology that matches with sir's subject, that is economy. Okay, so like that, like, and biology, and this time, like, and in prelims also many questions will keep coming from biology, tribal issues, all these things. In that way, it will help in prelims also. So, like this anthropology preparation helps a lot in prelims and also almost all GS papers to some extent. So, like that, it has a great overlap with GS preparations.
Sir, I
थैंक यू
have
मैम
two
फॉर
small
दिस
things
इंस्पायर।
to add here.
या अभिजीत सर, मैं आपको ही पूछना चाहता था अब
हाँ.
कि आपने जो 2021 का पेपर दिया प्रीलिम्स एंड मेंस, उसमें आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस रहा? हाउ मच ओवरलैप वाज देयर वेयर यू
सर
फाउंड दैट
एक्चुअली
आई हैव एन एज ओवर अदर्स?
2021 के GS1 पेपर में एक क्वेश्चन था अबाउट ट्राइबल एंड देयर कल्चर और समथिंग लाइक दैट इन GS1 पेपर. वो तो पूरा का पूरा एंथ्रोपोलॉजी के जो नॉलेज है उससे आई रोट द आंसर. आई डू डायग्राम्स आल्सो व्हिच आई डिड इन एंथ्रोपोलॉजी. फॉर एग्जांपल वन ट्राइब का जो आर्ट एंड कल्चर है दैट एंड ऑल. But sir, I think the greater thing that we need to appreciate here is, since GS study can become very monotonous, and anthropology, since specifically paper 2 is more about Indian society and Indian problems and tribal problems, these anthropology paper 2 learning and knowledge will help you develop a fresh perspective and uh, take away that monotony in your GS paper 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think that is one of the biggest things that worked for me. That monotony of studying GS papers has gotten away because of the anthropology paper 2 specifically. Because it's the overlap as such, technically speaking, is not that much. But if you want to see it from a very abstract point of view and from a very philosophical point of view, there is a lot of things that you can appreciate better with anthropological perspective, like Mam was saying, cultural relativism, which basically is tolerance. So there is a lot of interesting advantages that you can have with a optional like anthropology. So
तो दोस्तों, हमने दोनों ही एक्सपर्ट से जाना कि प्रीलिम, मेंस और निबंध, ये तीनों ही स्टेज पे अलग अलग जगह पर एंथ्रोपोलॉजी उपयोगी है। और जैसा अभिजीत सर ने हमें बताया कि जो बोरियत आ जाती है जनरल स्टडीज़ पूरा दिन पढ़ते पढ़ते, तो थोड़ा दिमाग भी फ्रेश हो जाता है जब आप पेपर 2 पढ़ते हैं, जहाँ पर ये एंथ्रोपोलॉजी इंडियन सोसाइटी की बातें आती हैं। नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट सेगमेंट, मैम आई वुड लाइक टू नो व्हाट एग्जैक्ट चैप्टर्स और टॉपिक्स आर वी स्टडिंग, एंड उसमें क्या क्या आता है, थोड़ा ब्रीफ में हमें बता सकें इन पेपर 1 एंड पेपर 2।
Okay, sir. But before I explain about the syllabus, I would just like to add one more point to that monotony which Mr. Abhijit was saying. So, anthropology helps in overcoming the monotony created by GS preparation. Plus, there is one more advantage within the subject also. Say, for example, you got bored with biology. Okay, you can immediately shift to ancient history.
or
Got bored with
culture.
ancient history, immediately shift to sociology. Got bored with sociology, immediately shift to tribal India. So there is no scope of boredom here. So anthropology feels like studying at least 5 different subjects. So within the subject also there is a lot of chance of this avoiding this monotony issue. Now, coming to the syllabus, and I also say, I think this is one of the very few optionals where the syllabus can be explained, the total syllabus can be kept in front of the students in just
One
less
slide.
than 5 minutes. Let me see how much time I will take for that.
Yes, ma'am.
So basically, paper 1, we have 12 units, and in that, the unit 1 studies about human evolution. In that, we study how the human being evolved like an organism, that is, how the apes evolved into the human beings. The basics of evolution, what we studied in our 7th class, 8th class, Darwinism, Lamarckism, all such things we'll study there. Unit 2, in that we study marriage, family, kinship, that is about our relatives, and then about our society and the culture. Okay. And unit 3 is economic anthropology. In that we study how the economic organization evolved from the time of the hunting gathering till the present time of this cryptocurrency and all that. And in political anthropology, we study the evolution of political organization from the time of simple tribal chiefs to the modern day decentralized democracy. So, starting from there till here, anthropology reminds us about our roots. So, then about religion also we study not about Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, no, not that. In the religion chapter in anthropology, we study how the religion came into existence when man started believing in something which is supernatural. So, from then till the present day, like modern religions, how the religion evolved over a period of time. And I can say in anthropology syllabus, evolution is a key word. Evolution of economic organization, evolution of political organization, evolution of religion, evolution as an organism, like that. Then unit 6 is anthropological theory, thought, different opinions, okay, of different thinkers about the culture, marriage, family, kinship, about how they evolved. We can briefly say that they are the theories about culture. They are the theories about culture.
And study of anthropologists also in that one.
Yes. And unit 7, language. Once again, why man started speaking, how man started speaking, how the language came into existence. Here we will understand everything, why it started, why economy, why polity, why language, why religion, why it all started, how man became a social animal from a natural animal that lived in the forest. Then unit 8, research methods. In this, there are different methods like interview method, participant observation. So I usually say the thinkers in the unit 6, using the research methods in the unit 8, studied the topics in unit 3, 4, 5, 7.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what is the link of all these units. And then unit 9 is genetics, which is quite similar to the biotechnology part of science and technology. Unit 10 is about human growth and development from the mother's womb till the tomb. So the life story of the human beings comes in that. I mean, from the birth, from before the birth till the death, what happens in the human life, how the growth and development happens. So that we study in unit 10. 11 is about fertility, and fertility creates population, so demography, fertility and demography. Unit 12 is applications of anthropology in sports, in defense equipment, in forensic sciences, crime investigation, in various other fields. So in these 12 units, 1, 9, 10, 11, 12, that is 5 out of 12 units are biology portion. The remaining all sociology, socio-cultural anthropology, we can say. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And going to the second paper. In the
Before moving
second
to the
paper,
second paper, quickly question
yes.
to Abhijit sir. ये जो
Sure.
सारे चैप्टर्स हैं, आउट ऑफ देम विच वन इज योर मोस्ट फेवरेट, या कौन सा
Chapters.
आपको इजी लगा, टफ लगा एंड सो फॉर्थ?
Chapter 6 is the toughest and the most favorite and the most important according to me, because if you dedicate maximum the more amount of time you dedicate to this anthropological theories and trying to understand what the anthropologists thought or studied a little more about that life, first of all your interest in this subject will increase. You're going to appreciate this not only as a subject but as a way of thought in life. And secondly, sir, it will help you write beautiful answers in all the other chapters. You can interconnect the theory part with the chapters, especially in the socioculture and anthropology. And not only that, in paper 2 also you can interconnect it. So it's a beautiful, beautiful chapter. And the more time you invest in that, the more returns you're going to get. And that is a guaranteed. I mean, even previous toppers like Anudeep Durishetty, everyone has said this. That chapter 6 is the most difficult, the most time consuming, but the most beautiful and the most important chapter.
तो
Backbone, we
दोस्तों यहाँ
can say.
पर, यस मैम, वुड यू लाइक टू एलेबोरेट ऑन दिस वन?
We can say that is backbone, and difficulty also, it depends on the person again. Like say for example, like I love thought, like let it be political thought, sociological thought. So if the people have a little bit of philosophical mind, they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So if they have technical mind, then it might be little difficult, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but still quite interesting also. So
That's
it
the
also,
technical mind of an engineer.
yes,
So it took a
engineer.
lot of time to understand and appreciate it. But once I did, it was really beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes.
And this
नाउ मैम
chapter made me
मूविंग,
fall with anthropology as a whole,
Huh.
basically.
राइट, सो नाउ मूविंग
Uh,
टू द पेपर 2 मैम, प्लीज टेल अस.
Sir, in paper 2, we have only 9 units. So, in that, the unit 1 is archaeology. In this, we study about like that ancient history part, that is Paleolithic, Stone Age, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Indus Valley civilization, and some fossils like Sivapithecus, Ramapithecus, etc. And Indian archaeology mainly. And unit 2 is demographic profile of India. Here I would like to establish the link between paper 1, paper 2 also. Paper 1 is we study the concepts there, and paper 2 is the application of
Application.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And paper 1 is world scenario, and paper 2 is Indian scenario.
Scenario.
In paper 1, we have unit 11, that is fertility and then demography. There we study the basics of demography. What is demography, demographic theories and all. In paper 2, like we have demographic profile of India, that is particular application to the Indian population. And unit 3 and unit 5, that is Indian anthropology. In that we study about caste system, varna system, dominant caste, judgmony system, okay, and the theories explaining why caste system originated, village studies, okay, and
Sacred complex.
ethnic elements in India like Aryan, Dravidian, etc. So, a holistic study about Indian anthropology.
Even
Unit
sacred complex and all these things, man.
sacred complex also. Okay, sacred complex. And there is another beautiful concept called nature
Nature,
man
man, spirit.
spirit complex that explains, that argues that we should not force the tribals out of the forest. They love the forest and they deserve living in the forest. So that is a topic which defends that. So
Hmm.
like this, there are many interesting topics about Indian anthropology. Unit 4 is Indian thinkers, Indian anthropologists. And 6 to 9, we have tribal India. In this, we have topics like tribal problems, and when they have problems, what they do, they revolt, the tribal movements, unrest, and when they revolt, what we do, some constitutional safeguards to pacify, some developmental schemes to pacify, and within the tribals also different grades are there, that is tribals, scheduled tribes, pvtgs, that is much more vulnerable among the scheduled tribes. So like that, and why to rank like that, so that the particularly vulnerable tribal groups require a better helping hand, a more stronger upliftment when
Hmm.
compared to the other tribals. So these are all the topics that we study in tribal India, and
So,
like many
yeah.
the distribution, classification, etc.
So
That
इधर भी
is
अभिजीत सर, out of this six this 9 units, आपका फेवरेट कौन सा है, टफेस्ट, इजीएस्ट, मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट आपको क्या लगा?
सर फेवरेट तो सर मुझे लगता है कि ट्राइबल इंडिया ही है, बिकॉज एज एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर it has already always been complained that we sort of miss out on the tribal people. They are one of the worst victims of the unintended consequences of Indian development. So studying nicely, actually appreciating the tribal problems, actually makes us a better human being, I would say. So I have an emotional connect with this tribal India part, but all the parts are actually very interesting. Even what ma'am was mentioning about the Indian anthropology, that is also a very good insight about how villages was looked upon by people from outside, anthropologists from outside, as well as how Indian anthropologists looked at it, the various versions, everything. Paper 2, I'd say, is very, very interesting in the sense that, sir, it's an application of paper 1, the concepts that we learned. So all the parts are actually very, very interesting, and especially the case studies and everything. You have a good opportunity to work very hard on value addition and increase your marks in this paper. So it was really good, sir. For archaeology, it was a problem for me in the initial times, but a little extra hard work is required. Studying from 2 3 sources is what I did. But overall, I would say tribal India is the most favorite, sir.
Right. So now moving to the next part, ma'am, you have prepared this graph about various segments and the weightage given to them. Could you please elaborate on this one?
Yes, sir. So as I told you, it is at least like 5 different subjects, and it avoids monotony or boredom during the preparation. And then what are those 5 subjects? So the first one and the largest portion is socio-cultural anthropology, which we can
Yes.
say that is the unit 2 to 8 of paper 1. Unit 2 to unit 8 of paper 1, that is 33% share of the total syllabus. Second highest goes to physical anthropology, that is unit 1, that is evolution. Unit 9, 10, 11, 12, that is genetics, human growth and development, fertility applications. So 5 out of total 21 units, that is how 24%. 24% physical anthropology, that includes biology portion, and 19% tribal India, and these percentages I calculated for the number of units from both the papers, 12 units in paper 1 and 9 units in paper 2, total 21 units. and 5 units, 6, 7, 8, 4 units, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 out of 21, that is 19% tribal India, and some 5% archaeology. We have world archaeology in the paper 1 as a small chapter in the unit 1, and then entire unit 1 of paper 2, that is archaeology, so it comes out to be some 5%, and then Indian anthropology takes a share of around 19%. So these are the relative weightages of the 5 subjects that I was mentioning, sir.
Abhijit sir, thoughts on this one?
Sir, I think this is a very perfect representation of how the syllabus is divided, and in fact, how much time also is sort of required in this, because sociocultural anthropology is the bulk, and understanding that well will indirectly help you in writing answers for all the other parts, specifically the tribal and the Indian anthropology. Physical anthropology by itself is sort of a objective sort of a paper, and you can work hard to increase the number of points in your answer, and your marks will increase without much thinking. So one thing, sir, that generally I just realized in anthropology is that to increase the marks, and that was my difference from my third versus fourth attempt. One of the differences is that the more amount of points that you write, the better marks you have, better chance you have of getting good marks. At least that's what I felt in anthropology. I think ma'am will be able to tell better on this because she's the expert who has a huge amount of experience. But in my time, in my third attempt, I did not write as much points, and I got also very less marks. In my fourth attempt, first of all, I studied very broadly. I tried work on value additions, but I wrote a lot of points also. So that was the difference, sir.
So now, moving to the book list for preparation, ma'am, you have provided this book list. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how and where one should start and how to go about this?
Sir, actually, I have given the book list, but I don't have any strong convictions about this, because now, like, I more believe in smart preparation, and we have a lot of internet sources, rankers answers, and so we have much more easier alternatives than this. I just kept the standard book list here, but frankly speaking, I don't have strong convictions about this. So I feel in the modern era, the information era, so students have multiple smarter ways of preparing. But anyway, like some good books about physical anthropology are Physical Anthropology by P. Nath, B.M. Das, Sociocultural Anthropology, Ember and Ember, and An Introduction to Social Anthropology by Majumdar and Madan. And then for archaeology, like I took a lot of inputs from Dr. D.K. Bhattacharya's video lectures. So because the content is so vast in archaeology, and going through books is quite difficult, and so I used those videos. And when it comes to Indian anthropology, Nadim Hasnain book we can use, and Tribal India also Nadim Hasnain. But Tribal India is a kind of, we have a lot of government data itself to refer. So I feel a textbook for Tribal India doesn't work, because this is one dynamic art in anthropology that keeps changing. So a book which is written some 1 or 2 decades back cannot serve the purpose today. So there are a lot of government sources only, like the Ministry of Tribal Affairs annual reports, or Kaka Committee report. Okay, but if I have to mention some books, you can refer Nadim Hasnain and The Tribal Culture of India by L.P. Vidyarthi. But I feel the government sources are far
The Kaka
better.
Committee report is an excellent
Yes.
material for Tribal India, ma'am. And we should supplement this with toppers notes. What I
Yes.
used to do is toppers notes to supplement karke,
Yes.
especially for paper one. And I think the Ember and Ember. Sir, one thing that I noticed is that in the last 2 years, this study of anthropology, the expectation is that the student, first of all, he'll write like an expert, not like a generalist, but the expectation is also that he's going to read books which any curious anthropology student will read. For example, Natufian culture was asked in 2020. That was the first question of paper one. Now that's a difficult question. It's not everyone who is going to read, but a casual study of Ember and Ember actually reveals that Natufian culture is in fact very well explained there, and also why it is very significant and special, that is also explained there. So Ember and Ember is one book that I read not only for reference but also I made extensive notes on that. The thing is, Ember and Ember has been written in such a beautiful way that it will help you appreciate the subject more and develop that interest, and you'll be able to understand things better. So I think the books that she mentioned, like Physical Anthropology for Peanut, that's also a very good book. But what ma'am mentioned very rightly is that this is the age of smart work, and there is a lot of material that is available on the internet. So always, always, always have a broad study, in the sense that supplement your existing knowledge. If you feel that based on your existing notes and knowledge you're not able to write answers or get marks in your mock test to the level that you want, because your aim should be 300 plus, only then if something goes problem you'll get less marks and you can still do well, but aim should be 300. So if you're not getting good marks, then you have to take steps that the topics that you do not understand, that you do extra study. For example, there are some excellent sources like EPG Pathshala or the IGNU books, or what ma'am was referring. There is a lot of excellent YouTube videos of toppers also. You can refer to some interesting topics that an academy also does on anthropology. So it has to be extensive. The idea is that every topic you should understand and appreciate very well, so that you can write interconnected answers. That is very important. One source, specific source, as golden rule for all the solution to everything, that doesn't work in I don't think it works in any optional these days. So
Indeed, sir. So, friends, these are the resources, but you have to use them very smartly. On a lighter and more casual uh, comment, so you, ma'am, advised video lecture by Dr. D.K. Bhattacharya. Now, how about
Right.
watching some Indiana Jones movies or Tomb Raider movies? आप देखते हैं अभिजीत सर को ऐसी हॉलीवुड मूवीज?
आर्कियोलॉजी समझ आ जाएगा सर.
Yes, yes, yes. So then, ma'am, the next part is okay. Books are known. Toppers' notes are also available on internet nowadays. So many courses are going on. YouTube is also full of material. So then, how exactly to go about and get good marks compared to other candidates?
So first thing is like attempting all the questions. Like some students feel very emotional with the questions that they know. Like I very well know this question, so they go on writing about it. So that will affect answering the other questions. So we should not feel emotional. So we have to reserve our emotions for other purposes. So here, like we have to take the question paper practically, and we should write some 200 words. So better don't cross that. Time management throughout the paper, that is like not being extra careful in the first few questions and leaving the last one or two questions and all that. And I always observed that writing a reasonable answer for all the questions fetches more marks than just a few excellent answers and spoiling the remaining answers.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
And use a lot of subheadings, because like when like even when I like see some students scripts, I feel when they write huge paragraphs monotonously, after 2 3 sentences my brain switches off. I cannot read further. So at that moment, if a new and another subheading comes, so the examiner feels as if like, okay, there is another new point to see here. So
Mm-hmm.
use as many subheadings as possible, small paragraphs, and underline or box the things. Point like one point that I can say common in all these pointers is show your content. That means like visibility, increase the visibility. It is the student's duty to show the points to the examiner don't have any need to search for the points whether you have written the thinker's name or not. He need not search it. It is like the student who need to show that. So highlight that and use a lot of diagrams, flow charts, maps, tables, graphs to make all the points visible at glance. So this is what I believe. And also like using some subheadings like the contemporary relevance, way forward, or the kaka committee recommendations. So different committee recommendations, contemporary relevance, if at all any new development happens in some topic related to the syllabus, adding that. So these points will help in scoring high marks, sir.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
अभिजीत सर इस पे आप कुछ और ऐड करना चाहे हाउ
I think this has been excellently categorized, these few points. I mean, these two slides are like, if you have to ask me to write what are the things that I did differently in my anthropology fourth attempt, my anthropology second attempt, I would say these are the exact points. Just two small things that I'd like to add, sir. One is I have always seen that writing more points, specifically in topics like archaeology or let's say human evolution, that sort of tends to fetch us more marks. You should not stop us, nothing should stop us from writing more and more points, but again, time management is very, very important. Here comes the beauty of practice. Practice and practice and practice so much that writing more points in a time managed stressful environment becomes second nature. And so number two, ma'am very rightly says that you should make it easier for the examiner to give you marks. So one thing, the extent to which I went was I downloaded a random, not even a topper, a random um, I did this exercise for GS also and anthropology also. I downloaded random answer scripts of people, 50-page answer scripts, and I printed them out, and then I try to evaluate them by myself. So, and I try to note the emotions that went through my mind. Ma'am very rightly said that if someone writes in paragraph, then after the first or second line, my brain switches off. I get irritated. If someone doesn't come to the point early on in the answer, that is again irritating. Like ma'am was mentioning, that understand the question and write the most relevant answer rather than beating around the bush. Write what you know, but always molded in the format of the question. Also, sir, making the answer beautiful, like diagrams and all these things, that makes me feel happy when I am evaluating an answer. I would strongly suggest that for any serious aspirant, just download one or two answer copies, have it printed. This can do for GS essay also, all papers. Just download one or two papers and evaluate it yourself and see how you feel. See how bad answers make you feel, see how good answers make you feel. That itself will be the motivation for you to do value addition and improve on your answers. So
इंडीड तो दोस्तों यही सब चीज़ें हैं कि आपने एग्जामिनर का काम आसान करना है कि वो कैसे आपके सारे जवाबों को आराम से देख सके डायग्राफिंग फ्लो चार्ट्स मैप्स वो सब करना ज़रूरी है टाइम मैनेजमेंट ज़रूरी है सारे क्वेश्चंस अटेम्प्ट करने की कोशिश हो ना कि कुछ सिलेक्टेड क्वेश्चंस के अंदर अपनी मेहनत सारी सब दिखे मैम कमिंग बैक टू यू दिस ऑल दिस सो मेनी थोड़ा बुक्स आर अवेलेबल खुद से कोई स्टडी करने जाए ही बिकम्स कन्फ्यूज्ड सम कोचिंग और कोर्स बिकम्स वो चीज़ों को आसान करता है सो माय क्वेश्चन
Yes.
टू इज आप अनअकैडमी पर पढ़ाती हैं तो व्हाट इज़ द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ योर कोर्स लाइक कितने महीने का कोर्स होता है कौन कौन से दिन क्लास होती है टाइमिंग्स कुड यू टेल समथिंग अबाउट दैट
Okay, sir. So first of all, like I would like to tell the purpose of coaching. So like, is self-preparation possible or is the coaching needed? I don't know, maybe like, I don't know how to rate myself, but I took minimum 6 years, 6 years, I mean it, to get proper grip on the subject. So, coaching primarily reduces the time spent by the student. So, like if I do most of the work that they are supposed to do, they can divert their focus to some prelims preparation, or maybe like instead of some like a second or third attempt, they may complete it in the first or second attempt. Okay, so an year matters. As a teacher, we can spend 6 years on anthropology, but as a student, it does not work. So, because like I have decided anthropology to be my life and career hereafter, so I don't mind spending 6 years. It's obviously not possible for a student. So, that is where the coaching helps, I believe, primarily. And when it comes to my course, first of all, I will teach every word given in the syllabus. That is 100% completion of the syllabus, which is almost a kind of near to impossible task when it comes to anthropology. Because if the teacher is from bio background, then sociopath, I heard many in many places, sociopath not being neglected, or from the social background, I heard about the instances of bio portion not being completed. So like one important feature is I will cover each and every word in the syllabus. Second feature is I'll provide the complete printed material that covers 100% syllabus and 100% answers to minimum 10 years previous questions. I mean, in the notes, you can find the answers for at least 10-year previous questions, including the most recent 21 paper also. And then as a part of the course, I will discuss 500 previous questions during the class. Like I'll explain the structure, how to write them. And these 500 questions, not at the end of the course, after each chapter I will do. Like say, for example, unit 1 completed, then I'll discuss all previous questions from unit 1, or marriage chapter completed, all previous questions from marriage chapter. Okay. And also like I ask hundreds of questions to the students. I see to it that it will be interactive, and I believe that my class should not only be understanding, so it should be understanding plus also learning in the class itself. So like I design the course like that. So if a student completely focuses on the class, at least 80% of the content he can even retain, he can even learn during the class itself. So this is how I designed the course. And the duration of the course is 130 classes, which is 2 hours duration. I mean, it comes out to be total 250 plus hours, 250 to 260 hours, which spreads over a span of some around 5 months, and it is a 6-day week. I did a 2 hours class. So this is the course duration and the details.
Ma'am, is there any prerequisite, like I should come reading after particular NCRT textbook or something before sitting in your course, or I can directly sit?
No, sir. I actually like, I say that if you come like a plain sheet, then it is quite comfortable. So you can learn everything. And I say, like if you read and come, then you may not have complete interest in the class, especially like when you decrease your concentration in the class, then I may say something which is very important. So if you totally come like a plain sheet, that saves a lot of your time before the course also. Instead of like coaching itself is preparation, and I don't feel a preparation for preparation should be there. So I feel I start from the scratch, and like I will take the student till the most advanced point possible. And like I still like the my student life is still very fresh in my mind, sir. As a student, I have seen some teachers like if they say that we teach basics, then they stay in the basics only forever. Or some teachers, they start from highly advanced topics for all average students. It goes like overhead transmission. So I believe start from the scratch and take the students till the advanced point. Basics are very important. Like anthropology as a subject also teaches the same thing. Roots are important. Roots are important for the tree. Okay, so I believe in strong foundations. So I start from the scratch. Absolutely no need of any prior preparation if they are planning to join my course. Otherwise, I don't know. Depends on the teacher also. It depends on many other factors.
Indeed, ma'am. So, friends, this was the introduction to anthropology as an optional subject and how we can gather more marks from it and what are the different topics we have to study under this. Now, I would request both of my panelists in the conclusion, अभिजीत सर आपसे शुरू करते हैं. Last advice, parting words to all candidates.
Sir, during the course of this conversation, I was roughly scribbling down some very minor points. I just want to quickly tell them. Number one is anthro. There are some parts which are objective. For example, biological anthropology and all. These are low-hanging fruits. So you should write as much points as possible in this and get as much marks as possible. Number two, start with a topic that if you're doing self-study, you start with a topic that interests you. In my case, it was marriage in sociocultural anthropology because it is one we can relate to maximum. Thirdly, the problem with anthropology these days is that there is a lot of material in the market, but we focus very less on understanding the topics. So if any interconnected question comes, that gets difficult for us. So we should always study from the perspective of being able to interconnect ideas, having that thought right from the start will help us. Number 4, there is this expectation that we need to have a general curiosity. For example, I was mentioning Natufian culture that is there in Ember and Ember, and Ember and Ember is one book where the general curiosity of aspirants can be met. So reading that book lightly or making light notes out of it is a good approach, I would say. uh, Fifthly, using examples, which learning some examples but using them in multiple places, that is the smart work part, of which what Hima Bindu ma'am was referring to. One example is that a tribal which was having a problem being driven out of some forest, they are now being allowed to be used as guides in that same forest. So that is an example of both action anthropology, applied anthropology, tribal problem as well as tribal solution versus government tribal partnership, all lot of things. So learning less but using that maximum, that you can do with answer writing practice. The more and more you do, diagrams very important for physical anthropology. Archaeology is something that people tend to take lightly, but these days questions will come out of it, and questions will be framed in such a way or grouped in such a way in the choosing wala part, that you will have to choose one archaeology question. So it's better to do a thorough study of archaeology, especially the Indian archaeology part, the tools and all these things. You should have a good idea. Linking with theories, topics, always try to link with theories. Ma'am mentioned that writing interconnected answers, that will fetch you very good marks. For example, Neolithic age of stone age, you can link it with the theories part. There was one anthropologist whose name I forgot. He said
Garden
it was yes ma'am, he said that it is the first revolution of mankind. So these things, so these are the small things that just came to my mind and I noted down. Otherwise, anthropology as a subject, if you are a good aspirant, if you are someone who likes to take interest in subjects, then it will be one of the best decisions of your life if you take anthropology, especially if you have such a great guide like Hima Bindu ma'am. So I don't think any one of you will regret it if you choose to take anthropology as your optional.
So, friends, how to go about anthropology? First of all, you simply go to Google and type Hima Bindu Unacademy and click on it. So, the first result that comes, simply click on it. So, this is the profile page of Hima Bindu ma'am. Now, here you will find the upcoming batches of ma'am, special classes, optional subject, and general studies. In general studies, ma'am is covering science technology, optional subject, ma'am is covering anthropology. And this does not mean immediately you have to pay money. Lot of the content on Unacademy is available for free of cost. For example, all these special classes where ma'am has covered anthropology and science technology related portions, preparation strategy, previous year solution, you can go about it. So what I have to do is simply I will go to ma'am's profile, and from there I will click on the special classes. So it will take me on this full list, and there you can see, for example, if I had to start with anthropology, I will start with a video like strategy to crack anthropology, introduction to anthropology, then previous year's papers and so forth. So it can help me get started with this. Ma'am, could you like to tell us more about these special classes?
Yes, sir. The special classes will give the student an opportunity to know how the teacher teaches, because maybe the teacher is good, but sometimes may not be suitable for a particular student. So the special classes gives a very good opportunity. There are so many special classes both in science and technology and in anthropology which you can watch to know the pattern in which I teach. And I told you that my class is not only understanding, it is also learning and understanding. I told you first you will understand, and also I said you can retain at least 80% from the class itself. Most of the learning will be completed in the class itself. Then obviously a student may get it out how it is possible. Then you can simply watch the special classes, you will understand how this learning in the class happens. You can use that special class as an opportunity. And if you are new to anthropology, I feel like if you feel you cannot understand it through anthropology, you can also watch science and technology special classes. There are some interesting special classes like mysteries of universe. That is my favorite topic. That is the most favorite special class I have taken. So that's a series of three classes, Mysteries of Universe 1, 2, 3. In that you can watch. So that in general gives you an idea about how do I proceed with the class, how a class with me feels like. And you can subscribe to the anthropology optional course, also for the entire GS and optional combination. And you can use my referral code HIMA IAS, HIMA IAS. Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू मैम, हिमा बिंदु मैम, अभिजीत सर, आप दोनों ने अपना वक्त निकाला और हमें बताया कि एंथ्रोपोलॉजी सब्जेक्ट उसको कैसे अप्रोच करते हैं, उसमें क्या क्या पढ़ना होता है एंड हाउ टू गो अबाउट इट. फ्रेंड्स, आई होप यू फाउंड दिस सेशन यूजफुल. इन फ्यूचर बाकी सब ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट के लिए भी हम ऐसे अलग अलग सेशंस प्लान कर रहे हैं. सो डू नॉट फॉरगेट टू लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब दिस वीडियो एंड लेट्स क्रैक इट.